It is 6:30 p.m. in the economic capital of Cameroon, Douala. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening to you all, and it is our pleasure having you in tonight's edition of Viewpoint. And we are going to be going societal, an issue very pertinent for our viewers and Cameroonians as a whole. We are going to be looking at the aspect of paying caution fees in hospitals before you are attended to. And to talk about this, we are honored to have medical personnel, I could put it that way, in tonight's edition, and a Pan-Africanist. I'm talking of Dr. Nick Ngwanyam. He is director of St. Louis University Institute of Health and Biomedical Sciences, and over the years he has been making a wave over the training of health personnel, and hopefully today he will be giving us more insight to the knowledge he has concerning the medical field as a whole. And he'll be accompanied by Pan-Africanist Derek Galim, who is working with redemption of dignity for the African man and freedom from colonial bondage. Probably we'll be having this the point of view of these two gentlemen with us here in the studio. Dr. Ngwanyam, it's not the first time that you've been on this platform. It's always a pleasure having you.
Thank you very much. This is a very exciting topic, and I hope that we'll be able to look behind the curtains and see what is going on and try to give a real understanding to this subject. What we are seeing is just the tip of the iceberg. There's more to it, and that's what we should be dealing with. All
right, there is more to it. Derek Galim, equally, it's a pleasure. Not your first time. Anyway, you're welcome. It's your house.
Thank you, Vanessa, and it's always a pleasure for me getting invited, and it's a pleasure to meet Doctor again once more. It's been a while.
Thank you.
All right, while you get to know yourselves more better, let us have this report in collaboration with our producer. Tonight we are talking about the demand of caution fees in hospitals in Cameroon. Can we do without it? But then what prompted the outcome of this topic is as a result of the fact that the regional director for the Bafoussam Regional Hospital came out with a circular letter asking that patients must deposit a fee of 50,000 francs before they are taken care of. Let us have this report, and when we'll come back, we'll get into the topic in full. This is the circular letter of the managing director of the Regional Hospital of Bafoussam that prompted public debate. Signed on October 26, the boss of the health district indicated that a sum of 50,000 francs must be deposited before and during care. Failure to comply, the patient won't be admitted for medical care. This to say, whatever your pain, do not trespass the premises of the Regional Hospital of Bafoussam without having the caution of 50,000 francs. A message received with mixed feelings. According to Professor Eno Orok George, director of the hospital, emergency services like the pediatric unit, adult emergency and delivery wards are areas of caution being demanded. The Minister of Public Health, Dr. Manawuda Malashi, reacted immediately, asking Professor Orok to withdraw the letter because such demands does not comply to the health ethics and jurisdiction of medical care in Cameroon, one which the director of the hospital postponed his decision. A review meeting was convened by the regional delegate for public health of the West region, which took place behind closed doors on October 27, 2022. The issue of 50,000 francs caution has come to reopen the files of universal health coverage, which is slow to be effective in Cameroon. It is true hospitals sometimes have to incur unpaid bills, but is it the only method to evade the losses? The caution method chosen by the director and other private or denominational hospitals is a wrong solution to a real situation. Dr. Ngwanyam, back in the studio and listening to the report, what can we deduce from the situation?
We are dealing with a very complex situation here, and we don't have a yes or no answer to most of the questions. The thing is, we are not used to doing things properly, and we are not, we get caught up in a web down the road as we go, and we don't plan our lives in a way that every Tom, Dick and Harry can see where we are going to. And therefore, once we don't have a roadmap like that, and then bills, and when bills must be paid, because bills have to be paid, then we run into these kind of problems. Because what is actually happening here is, you would think that the director of the hospital is wrong. No, he is just a victim of a situation. He's a victim of a situation. He's a victim. He's caught between forces. The force is the economic force, because somebody must pay the bill. That's the bottom line. Somebody, I would explain the concept of somebody must pay the bill. Even when you think it is free, it is not free. So somebody has to pay that bill, be it the state, be it whoever, be it the family members that would put money together. But the bottom line is somebody pays the bill. If you go to a bar and somebody gives you a supposedly free beer, you are drinking, you think it is free. It's not free. Your friend paid for the beer. So there is nothing free. There's nothing like a free lunch. So we are dealing with economics here. Who pays the bill? Because as long as it is not defined who pays the bill, the debts keep mounting, and the debts keeps mounting, and somebody at the end of the day must pay the bill, even if it's the Minister of Health. So the Minister of Health could have said, don't do that. Here is money to pay those bills. Then there will be no problem.
All right, but
so we have a problem now of politics clashing with economics.
Politics clashing with economics.
Yes.
We know that government will give subventions to these regional hospitals. We'll get back to that.
Okay.
Derek, your reaction to that report?
Well, after listening to that report outrightly, I would say there is some agenda somewhere. We do not have the details as to what necessitated the caution that has to be paid. But I know it's normal practice. Like Doctor said, he might have been a victim of just circumstances, but it is normal practice in Cameroon that there is what we call deposit that is paid in hospitals, and I've paid that myself. And the truth is, when you look at normal practice in hospitals, you don't get to be administered medication if you've not passed through the cashier's desk. Even for the consultation, you have to pay, and it is clear from your medical booklet that you've paid before the doctor consults you. And after that, even all his prescriptions he prescribes, you move to the cashier's desk, and once it's validated, you've paid for the medication, it is administered on you. And from that point of view, I don't see the justification for the medical deposit, because you pay for everything prior to being treated. And when I look at it from that way, I think the minister would be right saying the requests, yes, it should be put off, because effectively, before you hear, they always say there is no smoke without a fire. Right? Something has pushed people to react. Definitely from the order, the order that the delegate gave out there, people reacted, and there are justifications for their reactions, because the minister won't just see a document like that one and give an immediate order for it to be called off without maybe people rising up against it. And when you look at it from the way I have looked at it, I would see no need why the deposit should be requested, because the normal practice in the hospital is you pay and you're administered medication. You pay, the doctor listens to you. So what is the reason for the deposit?
What is the reason for the deposit? Doctor, you are talking of someone has to pay the price.
Yes. Now let's work on principles. When we work on principles, then we would understand where the shoe pinches. But let's not deal with emotions. Let's work on principles. First and foremost is that somebody must pay the bill. And when let's go into a hospital environment and break up the activities, then you would see why somebody has to pay the bill. Either you're paying the bill now or later, or whether it's paid by you directly or someone else. Let's break it up like that, then you will see. Otherwise we'll get confused. So two types of patients come to the hospital. One comes as an emergency, or one comes just as a cold case. Okay. When an emergency means an emergency, do something about it before you ask for money. That's what it means. It's an emergency. Do something about it.
Doctor, there you're speaking ethically.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes. Do something about it before the money before you ask for money. That's fine. Okay. So now somebody is doing something about it, because more often than not, you and I will be going down the road there. We'll have an accident, and then we are taken to hospital. We don't have the 50,000 francs on us, and we are bleeding. Someone has got to attend to us to make sure that life is preserved. Then the 50,000 francs can come later. So we have to look for ways and means of going around that, so that you don't get people to die because of a 50,000 francs. All right. So let's make sure that we are dealing with the emergency situation and trying to understand that. Then don't forget that some people try always to abuse a system. There's an issue of abuse, and so when we are dealing with a country where a lot of people tell lies, then you run into these kind of problems. At the end of the day, people will suffer because someone somewhere was telling lies and covering up. So something is good, but somebody uses tricks to beat the system. And when people begin to use tricks to beat the system, then we run into a situation where all those who have come as emergencies, they will come into the system, and later on they are treated. They later on go home, and no penny is paid. Then the hospital goes into debts, and the debts keep piling. So why are the debts? What are people supposed to be paying for? Okay, one, you are paying for the hospital, you are paying for the doctor's services, you are paying for the nurses' services, you are paying for the bed, you are paying for all those services around, you are paying for surgery, you are paying for laboratory services, you are paying for medication, you are paying for laboratory work, x-rays and so on. That's what you are paying for. And then you are paying for probably for surgery. You see the different things you are paying for. You could say that if you come to the hospital, well, you can let go the doctor's fee, not that all those consultation nursing, no, let's put that off. The bed fee, let's put that off. But the medicine, that's where the shoe pinches. But we don't make medicines in Cameroon,
doctor,
and they are not
let's
given
stop
for free.
looking at the reality.
Yeah.
Here in Cameroon, in particular, I don't believe here we are in Douala. Let's leave maybe and go. All right, I will not call the name of the hospital. They might think that we are attacking them. Yeah. You leave and you go to a well-renowned hospital. Yeah. The first thing you're being demanded of is a caution fee. Yes. Why that? Can we not do without? Whether emergency or a cold case, you're being asked to deposit a certain amount of money before you're taken care of.
You see, this is another problem too that we need to sort out. Hospitals are of different categories. You have, subdivisional hospitals, divisional hospitals, and then you go
private,
up, right?
The denominational,
and then when you have hospitals like this hospital we are talking about, the Hôpital Généraux and the regional hospitals, when you have a small thing, that's not where you go. No. Those are supposed to be dealing with some of the big difficult cases. It's not for the little wounds and for the cough catarrhs, and we overcrowd those areas with things that could have been handled elsewhere. Am I making
Doctor,
myself
probably
clear
because
here?
So many Cameroonians know that they are less expensive given that they are government institutions.
Yes, government institutions, they are supposed to be less expensive. That is normal. What is the ideal situation? The ideal situation is that people should have health free of charge. That's the ideal situation. But when you are having it free of charge, it means that the government is paying all the bills. All right? That's what it means. The government is paying all the bills.
It's subventing.
Yes.
Not even actually paying. They're subventing, meaning they're paying part of the bills.
Yes. No, there will be subvention now if the patient is paying part of the bill. Are you getting me? Because let's say the bill is 100 francs. Okay. The bill for whatever is done is 100 francs. If the patient is asked to pay 50 francs, the government has to bring that 50 francs. Otherwise, there will be a debt. You getting me? But we are saying the ideal situation is where government should pay 100 francs, and the patient and the citizen just walk in and get treated, and they walk back home. That's the ideal situation. Then we will not have this issue. But it is very difficult. It's very difficult for the government to do that, and that's why you know, the families and the patients have to bring up something, you know, so that jointly they can work together. That's why government hospitals, when you go to government hospitals, the bottom line is the bills in the government hospital are not as expensive as those in the private clinics. All right, because in the private clinics, you know, there's no subvention coming from anywhere.
Derek, do you agree with that?
Well, I disagree perfectly, because not completely, because doctor has clarified lots of issues there, and it becomes very clear why in certain cases the deposit is necessary. Yeah, it's true, there are always exceptions to every rule, and a number of persons or people have abused probably the charity of certain hospitals when they decide to treat you in advance before coming to their people who have escaped from hospitals without paying the bills, and at that point it becomes justifiable why caution should be asked, because like they say, all desserts lie prostrate. You will not know which one is suffering from stomach ache, and the majority may end up suffering for a crime that is perpetrated by a few or a handful of persons. But my major issue with the caution, if, like doctor explained, if people understood perfectly that there are certain issues that bigger hospitals should attend to, and we stop carrying our coughs or whatsoever to those bigger hospitals, I think there will be a situation where that deposit I mean could be kept aside for the majority of the cases, because you won't reach a hospital with a cough or a cold or stuff that you pay over the counter and you are treated and you are being asked for a deposit of 100,000 or 200,000 francs. But already, if you are coming with a situation, you know, okay, maybe it's a cancer or it's something that will require long-term treatment, that's a big case, you go to a big hospital, you expect that you spend so much money, and therefore it becomes normal why you may have to probably deposit some amount of money because your treatment is long-term. If that distinction could be made, it would be understood that it is not possible for a hospital institution to be asking for deposit for someone who has come with a cough or some little issue that we normally pay over the counter. I think in that light, that could be partitioned, and then you don't get people maybe
so that Cameroonians they'll be able to identify that moving to this hospital I need to hold this amount,
and for this particular advanced medical situation it will be necessary for you to pay a deposit because it's a long-term issue. I think that way there could be some justification for the deposit that is being paid, and from that point of view I think it won't be an issue, or there will not be a fight between the minister and the delegate over the declaration. But when it comes as a whole continuum, it becomes a problem for the majority of the cases who may not, be involved in a situation that could require a deposit. That's the way I look at it.
That's the way you look at it
for now.
Doctor, I believe as a promoter of medical care as a whole, we have been told that this is against the universal healthcare coverage, which has to do with all people have access to health services when they need it, where they need it, and without any financial hardship. Therefore, are we not gradually going against this principle?
That is a principle, that's a wish. But the other principle also says that there's nothing like something for free. So somebody, yes, this is the utopia. This is the utopia. Walk into the hospital anytime for free. That's fine. But the question again is, who pays for the medicine? For instance, let's look at what is happening in Cameroon. We don't make medicines. All those things are imported. Who pays for them? So now let's go back to that hospital, and the doctor need this medication, this antibiotics, this medication, all those things. So they write a prescription and say, madam, here it is, go bring the medication, we'll treat you for free. You get the point, because the hospital doesn't make medicines. They don't. All those medicines, they come from the big pharmaceuticals, and they are there. Somebody paid for those medicines up front. Even if they were given to them, they would have to collect the money and pay for the medication. So we are saying that what is wrong is not really the 50,000. It's just the fact that, you know, the doctor, the doctor of the hospital, the director, will borrow the medication to treat you. Are you getting me? He borrows it from wherever to treat you. But the thing is, you refuse to pay that bill when you are well, and you run away or you do something, and he's left with a bill hanging on his throat. That's where the problem is.
But looking at the reality on the ground, doctor, how many patients do escape with hospital bills?
All right. The bottom line is this.
Because we accept the fact that a hospital is an institution,
Yeah.
and it's not a charity home. So
It's supposed to be a charity.
It's supposed to be, in quotes, like
In
we put
quotes,
it,
yeah.
but it is not.
It is not.
It is not, because it needs the finances to run.
Yeah.
It needs it to get the medical equipment.
Medical care is very
it's
expensive in America. Very, very expensive.
Yes, but then how many patients do escape with the hospital bills?
If you gave them a chance, everybody would.
We wish we could have them talk.
Did you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, pretty sure.
Yeah. If you give Cameroonians a chance, nobody will pay a penny. I'm telling you. I mean, I've been working in hospitals, and I know what happens. If you give them a chance to say, just come in and we treat you, and if you have the goodwill, pay us, nobody will pay. That's sure.
That's a sure fact.
Yeah.
Derek, now how can we evade the situation? It is true that some of these hospitals, they have the losses, they don't incur the losses. So what mechanism can we put in place to avoid it?
There are a number of things I would suggest. For example, like in the case of civil servants, their case can be treated like a jigger on a foot or something, because they are paid by the government, and it will not be possible for a civil servant to run away with unpaid medical bills, because definitely your file has to be forwarded to either your regional delegation and stuff, and it reaches the right offices, and it will be deducted from your salary. That one is clear. For those ones, they cannot escape it. And even if they were to say, okay, civil servants, is not necessary for them to pay deposits before they are treated, definitely, because they know how the money would be brought back. Will be brought back. But now, for a majority of the persons, probably 75% of Cameroonians are not civil servants. So their own case becomes delicate, because there is no means of recovery if it is not taken at the hospital. And for their cases, I think what I could recommend rather is, like doctor already explained, take the big cases to the big hospitals and shoulder the pain of having to pay big money for your treatment. And for the smaller cases, you go to probably the little health centers or the
little health centers doesn't mean they are incompetent. Yeah, I mean, let's get some things. Let's get some things straight.
Cases.
Yes, they handle minor cases, but excellence must be there. It's not. It's not that when you go to a small hospital, it's not excellent.
And
the excellence. No, let's get that
I was
straight.
not looking at it in
that.
Yeah,
I know.
But it's good to bring in that clarification.
Your breakdown of the hospitals, maybe the general hospitals or the regional hospitals, which is presumed, okay, there are cases that are so, could we say, grave cases that should be there, and then people it's not like maybe the better doctors are in the regional hospitals and then at the sub-divisional hospitals. Then no, but just like saying, okay, for the people who are at large, the majority of the people who are not civil servants, for example, they have to pay for their medication at the point when they are treated. To solve this issue, I think the minute cases or health situations which could be paid for virtually like over the counter, like the normal practices in our hospitals, where you pass at the cashier's desk and then you are treated, they could go with them there. But for the bigger cases, like you said, emergencies which have to do with probably amputation and stuff like that, that require the bigger hospitals, they will have to shoulder the pain of paying for heavy deposits to cover for their treatment.
Doctor, to end today's program, can we say that Cameroonians now venerate death more than lives? Because if a patient is being rushed to the hospitals, the medical personnel are expected to take care, give the treatment first of all, then money will come later on.
Yeah, let me just say
in
something.
The field of training, is that what is being taught?
No. Let's always make things very clear. First and foremost, there are not more than 350,000 civil servants. Okay, and we are talking of a population of to about 27 million
to 30 million.
Yeah, to 30 million. So civil servants, hospital is not about civil servants. So let's look at a situation. How do we solve the problem of 27 million Cameroonians? And I should say here that the cost of healthcare in Cameroon is very high. So one way of helping the communities is to look for ways and means of bringing down the cost of healthcare. That's the problem we need to handle. And how do we do that? You know, each time you import something, it's more expensive than if you could make it. So it's time for us to say that we should be able to make our own drugs. That's what I was driving at. Make our own drugs so that we drive the cost of healthcare down. Let me show an example of a stupid thing that we've done over the years, and it's so stupid. You know, this impregnated
mosquito nets,
impregnated or whatever.
Insecticide.
Those treated mosquito nets. Making those things is one of the easiest things that we could do. We have a lot of tailors, we have a lot of youths and so on, and we could just buy that netted thing, or we could even put up a factory here to make those nylon nets ourselves and get our youths to prepare those things, and we treat them ourselves. But we take billions and billions and send them to Thailand or to India. You see, something as simple as that. Then another stupid thing is, you know, this intravenous fluid, the intravenous fluid. Can you imagine importing water to put in the veins? Those are things we could do here. We can actually make, let's say, 90% of the medications or things we need in hospital, we can make them here in Cameroon, and probably just import some of those fine medications, let's say for cancer or some for the rare diseases. So let us start off, number one, by making sure that we produce the drugs and all those hospital things that we use, all those disposable things that we use. Let us make them here in Cameroon with syringes and all. Let us make them in Cameroon. That would drive the cost of healthcare down. It's very important. And then we put up systems, insurance systems, where people can, that, you know, like this, there was this the Catholics had one. Let's encourage many of these systems to come in. They would help. Okay, so it's about insurance. Get insurance systems that work, and then drive down the cost of healthcare. And another way of doing it is also to increase the points of care. For instance, you know, okay, take for instance a school like my own St. Louis University Institute, where we are training health personnel. When the minister gives you an authorization to open a school like that, with that authorization you should also open a hospital there, because you have employed a lot of very skilled staff to be training children. Use that hospital as a point of care. You know, that way there are a lot of places where patients can go to receive healthcare, and then the prices would drop. Is it making some sense? It's more about increasing the supply, and then, you know, producing most of the things ourselves to drive down the cost. It's very important. In Cameroon, it's very important, but then hopefully someone has to pay the price. Cameroonians are equally called upon to be responsible when they have to go for medical care. Help the doctors or the hospitals to equally help you. That is the only way we can evade paying caution fees in hospitals. Thank you very much, Doctor, for coming and for contributing. Yeah, my last word, I would say that it's a very tricky thing, because if we keep our eyes on the money, a lot of people would die. Can you imagine a woman suffering from ectopic pregnancy, a woman coming and is bleeding and needs an operation, a cesarean section? All these things, we need to be very careful and make sure that we attend to the patient before we ask for the money. But it doesn't mean that people should take advantage of it and begin to run away with money. Thank you equally, Derek, for coming. It has been a pleasure. Almost running out of time. Thank you equally, ladies and gentlemen, for your kind and keen attention. Thanks all
our production team tonight that has been a great job. Stay tuned to DBS television. Hopefully we'll have more occasions and where we could talk about our medical condition in Cameroon as a whole. Do take care and of course stay out of trouble. Goodbye. See you tomorrow.